be here in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to go this side today.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Pauline, my neighbour.
So we've got Pauline with us today, trying out the class, see if she likes it.
It's got to be nice then,
You got the neighbour.
That's impossible.
So, just a bit of a recap then. So we this is our last week of the class till our summer break. So, yeah, last week of the season. So we're back the first week in September, which I don't know if it's about the 5th or something like that.
Yeah.
But basically, first week in September we're back.
First Tuesday.
First Tuesday, yeah. So far we've been working on the interiors project. So that was my kind of demo piece in oils. And I thought I'd do a little bit on figures interior. So last week was a sketching demo, something a little bit like this. And then I thought, well, I'll have a go at a bit of paint this time. And just talk a little bit about how sometimes I paint people, particularly when I'm out and about, really. So let's do that. Well, so as I say, we've got a break for about a couple of months. And then when we come back, the project I've got in mind is, I've got here, well, this one is more kind of over to you, really. So you can either work from old photographs, so that's one idea we have, like maybe get something like sepia photographs. Can be something like working from an old photographs. So I don't have anything like a resource to draw on there, so that's an idea that you could, if you wanted to find something.
I'm starting mine today.
Yeah, great, good, that's even better. Yeah, I mean, really, today would be a good point to start. You can be thinking about it for over the summer. Or it could be drawings, or working just your own project, whatever your own project wants to do. So I just wanted to kind of, throw it a little bit more over to you so that it's not me just sort of getting all the resources for a particular, so it's more your, something a bit more personal to you. So I mean, old photographs, that could be like something personal to you. It could be like maybe a family photograph or something like that. Have you got any ideas? Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah. So it could be, so that could be, or if you've got any old photographs that you come across, it could be quite interesting starting point.
Or school photos.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. So so that's basically what we'll be doing when we're back. The other thing is we had quite a nice trip last Friday to Paid Mill Lock. I had about 10 people taking part, and probably another 3 who just kind of visited and went off and did their own thing. So that was really nice, and I will organise 1 or 2 other trips for September. So we've got, hopefully we'll have some nice weather in September as well. I've got a list of some of the places people requested, so I'll try and have a think about that over the summer and put a few emails out. So, again, I'll need to know, if there's interest. I don't know. So with the trips this year, I think I did them a little bit of short notice. 2 of them I cancelled because we didn't have enough interest. One was quite a small trip, that went quite nicely to Hadley Castle. I think there was about 4 people came along. And then Paid Mill Lock, as I say, there was 10 people at least taking part, and then 3 kind of having an explore really. So if we get a few more done, that could be quite nice. Right, okay, so I thought I'd just use the acrylics today. So what I've done is when I'm working with figures, and I have got, I think I might have left them in the car, the paintings I was going to bring in as an example, so I'll pop out and get those at break time. But with figures that are fairly close to, I would tend to sketch something out first, with either a pen or pencil or something like that. If it's figures in the background, I might just tackle those straight with paint. So I'll do a little bit of these figures in the background, and with acrylics, I can make changes quite quickly and quite easily. So a little bit from. So these figures just in the background here. If I was outdoors painting, I would just kind of sketch this in, just with the paint itself, maybe just kind of, what I'm really doing is looking for kind of an overall shape for this area. So they're all quite, there's slight differences in the colours of their coats and things like that, but I think that would be the sort of shape I'm looking for that overall. This person's got slightly lighter trousers, so I'm just put them in a tiny bit lighter, a little bit white, just a little bit lighter there. And it's with the intention of just getting some colour down to start with. As I say, that's not too difficult to kind of draw that in with a brush. For their heads, I would mix something with a little bit of just roughly a flesh tone, yellow and red and white, just to get a rough flesh tone. And once I've got something down, I can always kind of work back into it. It doesn't have to be there.
What colour do you use for the flesh tone?
I've used, I think it's cadmium yellow, and this is like a little bit of magenta, but some sort of red, some sort of yellow, probably works quite well. I don't necessarily stick to the same ones. This is a little bit raw cyan. I'm just going to put a little bit of that in as well, just to dull it down a little bit, because the person next to me is quite a little bit darker. A little bit cyan next in. So it's just something to suggest some places and a little bit something that suggests perhaps hands in the background. And that, you know, if I let that dry, I can maybe work into that a little bit. And then this person here, the way I've sketched them out is really, I've started with the head, so I just thought, well, that's the middle of their features, just a line for the middle of the features, a line for eye level, and then just kind of work the shapes up in the head, maybe a few marks for positions, like that, and then just kind of work my way, basically work that down. Then from there, just pop some flesh tones in. There's a little bit of shadow around the eyes, so to start with, I'm just going to make a shadowy area for the eye socket that I can always go back into and suggest a little bit of detail later. That's a little bit of shadow under the nose, a bit of shadow under the mouth is going to be in here. And then a little bit lighter. Go back to the lighter flesh tone. A bit more shadow. Just under a little bit of shadow under the lips sometimes. Just put that in and just kind of soften that out. It's not too sharp. The relationship when you're drawing people, I find if you can see their hands, I find it easy to get the hands and then get the face and then the hands, and then kind of work out from there. So as I can see her hand is about here, I'll just start to put a little bit of. I can't see it in any great definition. She might have slightly moved it at that point and it's slightly blurred, but that in the way might add to the general kind of look. And then once I've got that, I can then work back with the neck and arms and just the rest of her torso really. We'll work back from there. And down here. And then just some darker tones for the jacket. Slightly reddy colour.
Do you find it to do the hand shape rather than any detail on the hand?
Yeah.
The fingers seem to look like it's hard to do, aren't they?
They are, yeah. And sometimes, particularly a scene like this, unless you sort of like this champ's fingers right close up, you can really see his hand. But most people, it's very difficult to see them. So maybe just a hand shape. And then just maybe a couple of, I could perhaps just get a thinner brush and just a couple of lines that are sort of, suggest those things there. And that might be enough to suggest it, rather than try and draw meticulously around everything or again do that. I'm really looking for an overall impression, really. And from there, go a little bit darker. going to work, yeah, top for a hair. Like that. A little bit of hair there. So we're working on the jacket, and so the jacket can be right here. Quite done off at the front. Just had a little bit of shadow there. And again, to start with, I could just get some colour down, and then I can always come back in and add highlights. Get some colour roughly where it needs to be. Just a little bit of shadow. This is a little bit of shadow at the front. Kind of working. Missed where the hand should be further forwards, but it's better there. Then just carry on down, work my way down for the trousers and that sort of thing. But sometimes I find sort of sketching the main features in it quite important, rather than doing an empty space and trying to fill it with people. So now, yeah, go on.
Just from a proportion point of view, obviously you've upsized or upscaled the figure in comparison to the size of the image you're working from.
Yeah.
So if I was doing that, I'd be quite daunted in knowing how to get a small image into a big image to get the proportions correct.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So obviously it's working out how many times the head fits with one thing, etc.
Yeah.
So is it almost you're aiming for like double the size of the original? Or how do you work it out? Is my question.
I mean, here I've just really done it by eye, not really measured anything. And looking at it, I think probably it might come down a bit lower actually, just looking. But you could measure it, physically measure it off the photograph. So, I measured, so from the top of the head to the chin, it's about that big.
Yeah.
And I could just step that down, see how many times that goes into the torso. So 1, 2, 3. That takes me down to roughly where her hand is. So what I've done, whatever I've got here, that really wants to be about 3. 1, 2, 3. So yeah, like I say, it just wants to be a little bit lower than I had originally.
So you kind of double the
So
proportion.
it's like proportion. I suppose what you do is you think, well, I want the head to be roughly there, and then if that's the case, I could then think, well, that needs to fit. A torso needs to be about 3 times that. So 1, 2, 3, and then so that might come down to there. Now, if I thought, well, actually that's going to go off the page, I then need to think, well, actually maybe I'll make a head that big, and then try that again. 1, 2, 3, and that might come down to there. In which case, yeah, I've got plenty of room there.
So basically, whenever you're upscaling, it's best to start with the head.
I think so, yeah. I would say so, yeah. I mean, a lot more, well, the way I learned to draw people, I did a lot of live drawing, so we drew a lot from models. So in which case, you've got a model, you'd have to sort of close one eye and just sort of physically measure, say from the top of the top of the head to chin, and then, just do that, just physically sort of compare it.
I used to do my head in that thing on the pencil. I used to do that thing, I just don't get it.
It's very, very easy. You basically, you've got to close one eye, and then that you line up with the top, so then and keep your arm outstretched. You mustn't do this. If you go back to right. What is that?
I said I won't be winking now.
You won't be winking. Yeah. So you basically, you kind of hold that distance, and then, so I'm measuring Kevin's head, that's going to down to there. That takes me down to really where his arms are crossed. So the distance between chin and arms crossed is about head. But it's a way of comparing. And I find it a really good way. You could, if I wanted to, I could get my ruler out as I've seen lots of people do, and they're physically measured, you know, from the top of here down to the head, and then the head to here, and everything is measured. And it's quite laborious. And the thing then is you've either got a picture that's exactly the same size, you're painting exactly the same size as the photograph, or you're painting twice the size, or you could do some other calculation. I much prefer this thing where you just kind of, you know, you pick something. If I wanted to absolutely reproduce that on here, I could think, well, that head would fit in 1, 2, 3 till I get to the top of the train. So I'd have to position it maybe here, go 1, 2, 3, check it fits. Do the same that way, just to get the positions. So that is, you know, for me it's easier. Yeah, it's probably less accurate, but it's an easier way to work, a more enjoyable way to work. I don't do that much measuring, but when I'm out painting, I probably will check a few things, make sure I've got them right. I tend to just try and judge by eye. And if you can train yourself to judge by eye, that's much more fun. But every now and then you think, I've got that right. That's the way of just making sure.
You could actually grid it up, couldn't you?
Yeah, you
but
could.
then it's a bit like painting by hand.
Yeah,
It takes the looseness away, doesn't it?
it does, yeah. I mean, complicated scene, it's probably worth it. And if I'm painting a complicated scene from a photograph, I'll grid it up. But it's not that enjoyable, really.
No.
It's very, again, it's more measuring, painstaking, and yeah, it gets a little bit. So
Yeah, you will get a bit tight.
Yeah. So, yeah, good way. It's worth doing. That's just worth doing.